Hey everybody, Hugh here. Welcome back. Well, it's a rainy day. We're back in the glass house. So we'll take a look at the tomatoes. We're having a nice season. Been plenty of eating so far. And you can see there's plenty more eating to come. So a couple of points just worth noting at this stage. Tomato bottle wise, the Gardener's Delight tomato bottle has expired. It's done its thing. It provided us with 2 trusses of very juicy tomatoes, Gardener's Delight. Has to be said, like other people who have risen to the tomato bottle challenge, it has been a devil to keep watered at this time of year for the past month, in fact, 2 months, in fact, if I'm honest. However, there has been good learning, and I saw one of my friends on Twitter, Brian, he was saying, actually, isn't it amazing to think that you can grow tomatoes from something this size with a little bit of preparation and a bit of diligence around watering and of course feeding. So that's a success for sure, for sure. Now another point to note, and an interesting one, is that my other tomato bottle, the Sweet Pea Currant, the one that provided us with lots of smaller tomatoes, as you can see there, it's actually still going, and it's going quite well. Still flowering, still producing shoots. And interestingly, this was one, and again, I had it restricted down for another 2 shoots, and I said I was going to leave it at that. And then I said, well, maybe I'll let another couple of shoots develop just to see what happens. And it has responded very well. You can see there's more smaller tomatoes coming on there. So, hashtag tomato bottle challenge. This one is still actually growing and going nicely. Still requires plenty of watering and the occasional feed, but definitely the smaller little pea tomatoes are far more easy to look after in that restricted root space. So I thought that was quite interesting. Another experiment I was doing was growing the single truss tomatoes in 3 or 4 litre pots. And it's been interesting to see the results. This particular one, I'm nearly sure, is John Bear. And you can see the sort of the standard sized tomato and that green one there. But it's produced a super sized one as well. Now it's only been allowed to produce 1 truss for the season. And I had read before that when you do that, that they actually produce super sized fruit. So I've seen this a couple of times. With Sunstream, which I've eaten, it did the same thing. The tomato truss, the 1 tomato truss that it produced a number of standard sized fruits, but then there was 1 particularly large fruit. I'm going to harvest the seed from this particular fruit, so it'll be interesting to see what happens with that, with those seedlings. Will they be larger seedlings, or will they be inclined to produce more fruits, larger fruits next year? So that'll be interesting. Another interesting tomato is the one that I have hanging up on the back here. That's a variety called the Cauliflower, and I have a couple of different Cauliflower plants in the greenhouse here. They are slower to ripen, but that's the very nature of the fruits themselves. The Cauliflower means hanging, or to hang. So the idea being that you have the likes of your Gardener's Delights, or your Sunstreams, or your Money Makers, you know, the tomatoes that we know that will come in and ripen quite quickly. But then there are some other slower ripening varieties that take longer and are grown deliberately for that effect. So they'll be ripening in autumn time. and apparently well into the autumn time. And let me show you tomato Dr. Carolyn's pink, which is actually a pink tomato. I don't know if the screen picked that up. I think it does. So I think that's very unusual and looks well in the salad. So nice to actually see that. And finally, this particular one here is Gardener's Delight, the well-known tomato. And honestly, it's been producing tomatoes and we've been using them away, and it continues to produce tomatoes, and plenty of them too. So while they were slow to start to come in, they've actually done very, very, very well. So the tomato season for us this year has been a mixture of getting in some of those early tomatoes, so the Muscatka tomatoes that we had earlier in the season, and there's still some of them actually fruiting away. They were the earliest and they came in, followed soon by the sweet pea currants, the very small ones. After that, in August, late July or August, we've had our main crop of tomatoes have come in very nicely and are fruiting away, and we're using as we do. And then later in the season, we're going to have the Decolgar to provide us with fruits. So it's been an interesting year. There's been plenty of learning. What I might do next year around my tomato bottles, in fact, I'll see what I'll do next year about tomato bottles, how I'll continue. I'm more inclined to do maybe the 1 or 2 Truss tomatoes in pots. They're definitely easier to water. And of course, we'll continue with some of our bigger tomato plants. You can see the bigger, very impressive tomato plants. As always, thanks very much for stopping by, and as always, thank you for the comments and for the likes. And if you like what you're seeing, please subscribe, and of course if you have any questions or comments, make sure that you leave them in the comments below. Until next time, all the best. Bye bye.